Some doors do not open with keys. They open because someone decided they should. Karakura Town was quiet in the way it always was at night. Cars still passed. Vending machines still hummed. But the air had a heavy feeling that did not belong. Ichigo Kurosaki felt it first. It was not a hollow scream. It was not the normal bad chill that came before a fight. This was pressure, like the sky pushed down. He stepped out onto the street and looked up. The moon was there. The clouds were there. But the space between them looked wrong, like a thin line had been drawn across the world. Rukia Kuchiki landed beside him in a quick flash, her feet touching the pavement like she weighed nothing. "You felt it too," Ichigo said. Rukia did not answer right away. Her eyes were locked on the thin line in the air. "That is not a Senkaimon," she said, "and it is not a Garganta." The line widened. It did not tear like cloth. It opened like a clean cut. The sound was soft, almost polite. Something stepped out. At first, Ichigo thought it was just a man, tall, calm, wearing a suit that did not fit the street at all. His hair was light, his face was sharp, and his eyes looked like they already knew the end of the conversation. Then Ichigo's chest tightened. Rukia's hand moved to her sword. Because the man did not just arrive. He arrived with a presence. Spiritual pressure, Reiatsu. The thing Shinigami used to crush fear into weaker souls just by standing near them. But this was not like any Reiatsu Ichigo had felt. It had no shape he could name. It did not feel like a captain. It did not feel like a hollow. It felt like a rule. Streetlights flickered. A window far away cracked. A stray cat froze in place and then ran as fast as it could. The man looked around like he was checking if he had arrived at the right party. Then he smiled as if pleased. "Ah," he said. His voice was smooth and calm. "This place is loud." Ichigo took a step forward. "Who are you?" The man's eyes moved to him. The smile stayed. "You have a lot of noise in your soul," he said, like he was talking about the weather. "But you hold it together. That's rare." Rukia's voice turned cold. "Answer him." The man looked at her sword, then back to her face. "A blade," he said. "A badge, a job, and a cage you call duty." Rukia's eyes narrowed. "Stop talking in circles." The man lifted his hands in a friendly way. "I am not here to harm you." Ichigo did not relax. He had heard that line too many times. Behind them, a low, wet sound rose from an alley. A hollow crawled out, drawn by the pressure like a moth to fire. Its mask was cracked. Its mouth opened wide. Another hollow followed it. Then another. Rukia clicked her tongue. "They're coming because of you." The man turned slightly, as if he had just noticed them. The first hollow lunged. Ichigo moved at the same time, but he stopped mid-step. Because the man did not draw a sword. He did not flash. He did not shout. He just looked at the hollow. The hollow hit an invisible wall and dropped to the ground like its legs forgot how to work. Its claws scraped the pavement. It tried to stand. It could not. The other hollows froze. Their bodies shook. Then they backed away, not like they were scared of a stronger fighter, but like they were scared of something that should not be here at all. The man sighed. "Go," he told them. The hollows turned and fled, crawling and leaping into the shadows as fast as they could. Ichigo stared. He could feel no attack, no blade, no clear strike. It was like the man had spoken to the world, and the world listened. Rukia's grip tightened. "What did you do?" "Nothing dramatic," the man said. "I reminded them what they are." Ichigo's eyes stayed on him. "You're not human." The man's smile widened a little, like he enjoyed that. "I am many things," he said, "but tonight I am mostly curious." He looked past them, toward the city. Then he spoke again, softer. "Which of you is in charge of the dead here?" Rukia's jaw set. "Soul Society governs the flow of souls." The man blinked once. "Soul Society," he repeated. "That sounds like a place that thinks it owns everything it can name." Ichigo felt his temper rise. "Hey, we don't own people. We protect them." The man looked at Ichigo again. For a moment, his smile turned almost kind. "You believe that," he said. "Good." Then the air behind him shifted. The clean cut in space trembled, like it wanted to close but could not. The man glanced back at it, and his expression changed. Not fear. Interest. He tilted his head, listening to something no one else could hear. Then he said very plainly, "Interesting." Ichigo's stomach sank. "What?" The man's eyes lifted to the sky as if someone stood above the clouds watching. "Your hell," he said, "is screaming." Rukia and Ichigo both felt it then. A deep vibration, far below the city, far below the earth, like a chain being pulled tight. And the man, this stranger in a suit, smiled like the night had finally given him a challenge. "I suppose," he said, "we should talk." Kizuke Urahara's shop looked the same as always from the outside. Small, normal, easy to miss. Inside, it was not normal. Ichigo knew that. Rukia knew that. And the stranger knew it too. Ichigo watched him walk in with no hesitation, like he had already seen the layout in his head. Urahara stood behind the counter in his striped hat, smiling wide enough to look friendly and sharp enough to look dangerous. "Oh my," Urahara said. "What an elegant guest. Ichigo, you bring me the best surprises." Ichigo kept his voice low. He just appeared. Urahara's eyes stayed on the stranger. "Yes, I can tell." The stranger looked around at the shelves, the candy, the small trinkets. Then he looked at Urahara. "You are the clever one," he said. Urahara's smile did not change, but his eyes did. They became more awake. "That depends," Urahara said. "Clever at what?" The stranger's lips twitched. "At pretending to be harmless." Urahara laughed lightly, like it was a compliment. "Guilty as charged." Jinta and Ururu peeked from behind a doorway. Jinta looked ready to throw something at the stranger. Ururu just stared. Ichigo could feel the pressure in the room. Urahara's shop had layers of protection, hidden barriers, safety tricks. He had felt them before. Now, those barriers were reacting. They were not breaking. They were bending. Not under force. Under presence. Urahara's fan snapped open. "Welcome," he said. "May I ask your name?" The stranger did not hesitate. "Lucifer." Ichigo blinked. "That's your name?" Lucifer smiled. "Yes." Rukia's face stayed hard. "Full name." Lucifer looked at her, amused. "You don't get that yet." Ichigo stepped forward. "Why are you here?" Lucifer's eyes turned thoughtful, like he was choosing how honest to be. "I was somewhere else," he said, "and then I wasn't." "That's it?" Ichigo asked. "It's the truth," Lucifer said, like that settled the matter. Urahara leaned on the counter. "Truth is a nice start. How about your purpose?" Lucifer's gaze drifted, almost bored, almost playful. "Purpose," he repeated, such a human word. Ichigo felt the urge to yell. He forced it down. This guy did not feel like someone you could push around. Rukia spoke again. "He's causing hollows to panic." And he mentioned hell. Urahara's smile thinned. "Ah." Lucifer looked at Urahara. "Tell me," he said. "What do you want?" Ichigo frowned. "What?" Lucifer's eyes stayed on Urahara. "You. Clever man. What do you want?" Urahara's fan paused mid-wave. For a second, the room went very quiet. Then Urahara chuckled. "I want to keep my friends alive." Lucifer studied him, like he was reading ink on paper. "That's true," Lucifer said. "But it's not the whole truth." Urahara's smile was still there. His voice stayed light. Now, that's rude. Guests shouldn't peek behind the curtains." Lucifer leaned a little closer. "You build plans inside plans because you fear the day you can't fix something. You fear that day is coming." Ichigo's eyes widened. Urahara's face did not change much, but Ichigo saw the tiny shift in his gaze. Urahara exhaled once, quiet. "And you?" Lucifer said, turning to Ichigo. "What do you want?" Ichigo bristled. "To protect my family." Lucifer nodded once. "Good." Then he turned to Rukia. "And you?" Rukia's voice was flat. Order. Lucifer's smile returned. "Of course. Rukia's hand snapped to her sword. Stop, this is not a game. Lucifer raised a brow. It's not a game, it's a habit. Urahara clapped once, breaking the tension with a sound that was too cheerful. Okay, he said. New rule. No deep questions until after tea. Ichigo stared at him. Tea? Urahara leaned toward Ichigo and whispered, If I treat him like a normal guest, he has to work harder to be scary. Lucifer heard him anyway. Lucifer laughed, not loud, just enough to show he found it funny. I like you, Lucifer said. Ichigo did not like this at all. Then Tessai appeared behind them, tall and serious. His eyes were fixed on Lucifer. Kisuke, Tessai said. We have visitors. Urahara's smile stayed, but the air tightened. Outside, the street filled with flashes of shunpo. Shinigami. A lot of them. Rukia moved with the group to a safer space outside the shop, where Soul Society's people could take control. She kept her eyes on Lucifer, the whole time. They arrived like a storm made of uniforms. A squad formed a ring. More appeared on rooftops. Some held their swords ready. Others held Kido tags and seal tools. Rukia recognized the feeling in the air. This was not a friendly check. This was a capture net. A senior officer stepped forward. Unknown entity, he called. You will submit to inspection. Any resistance will be treated as hostile action. Ichigo's fists clenched. Hey. Rukia grabbed his sleeve. Let them speak, she muttered. This is bigger than us now. Lucifer stood in the center like the ring was meant for someone else. His hands were at his sides. His face was calm. He looked at the Shinigami and smiled like he found them adorable. Inspection, he said. And if I refuse? The officer's eyes narrowed. Then we will restrain you. Lucifer nodded as if he understood the rule, then asked, Do you truly believe you can? That simple question made several Shinigami shift their feet. A captain stepped forward then, and the pressure changed. This was a real captain's Ryatsu, heavy and sharp. Rukia's breath caught. Captain Mayuri Kuratsuchi appeared with his usual grin and strange makeup. His eyes shined like he had found a new toy. Oh my, Mayuri said. What a delightful specimen. Ichigo stepped forward again. Back off. Mayuri ignored him and stared at Lucifer. Your spiritual pressure is inconsistent. It does not follow our laws. That makes you very interesting. Lucifer looked at Mayuri like he was looking at a bug on a window. You're the type, Lucifer said, who mistakes curiosity for permission. Mayuri's grin widened. And you're the type who thinks a warning is a barrier. Mayuri lifted his hand, and a net of Kido seals formed, snapping into place around Lucifer, in a cage of glowing lines. Rukia felt it. Those were layered binds, strong ones, built to hold captains. Lucifer glanced at the lines with mild interest. Then he stepped forward. The lines did not shatter. They did not explode. They simply failed to matter. Lucifer walked through them like they were mist. Several Shinigami gasped. One stumbled back. Mayuri's grin froze for half a second. Then it returned, even sharper. Fascinating, Mayuri whispered. Ichigo's heart pounded. Rukia's mind raced. This was not raw strength alone. This was the feeling of rules not applying. A voice drifted in, lazy and calm. That's enough. Captain Commander Shunsui Kyoraku stepped out of a shadow like he had always been there. His haori moved gently in the night air. The ring of Shinigami tightened without being told. Shunsui looked at Lucifer with tired eyes and a faint smile. Hi there, Shunsui said. You're causing us a lot of paperwork. Lucifer's smile matched his. That sounds like your problem, not mine. Shunsui sighed. Usually, yes. But you're standing in my world, so it becomes my problem. Lucifer tilted his head. Your world. Shunsui's gaze sharpened for a moment. We keep the dead moving. We keep hollows from eating the living. We keep certain doors closed. Lucifer's eyes flicked, as if that last part mattered. Doors, Lucifer repeated. Shunsui nodded once. So here's the deal. We don't know what you are. We don't know what you want. But we can tell your presence is dangerous. Ichigo wanted to argue, but he swallowed it. Shunsui was not wrong. The air itself had changed since Lucifer arrived. Shunsui continued, "You will come with us for observation. Not a cage, if we can avoid it. A room, a watch, a conversation." Lucifer smiled slightly. "And if I say no?" Shunsui shrugged, but his Reiatsu pushed outward like a warning. "Then we try something more forceful, and I don't think any of us will enjoy that." Lucifer studied Shunsui for a long moment, like he was deciding if this leader was worth respecting. Then Lucifer said, "Fine." A ripple went through the ring. Shock and relief at the same time. Lucifer lifted a finger. "But I have my own deal." Shinsui's eyes stayed steady. "Let's hear it." Lucifer's voice was calm. "You do not put chains on me. Not physical. Not spiritual. Not political." Mayuri clicked his tongue, annoyed. Lucifer continued, "And you do not threaten the humans around you because you fear me. If anyone suffers because you panic, I will consider it your fault." Ichigo felt a strange chill. It was not anger. It was certainty. Lucifer said it like it was a simple rule, and he could enforce it. Shunsui sighed again, and this time it sounded real. "All right," Shunsui said. "No chains. Observation only. But you stay reachable." Lucifer nodded once, like it was a fair trade. Rukia watched him, trying to find the lie. She did not see one. That scared her more than if he had lied. They brought Lucifer into Soul Society through a controlled gate. The air changed from city night to white stone and wide sky. Ichigo walked with them because he refused to leave this alone. Rukia went too, because she did not trust anyone else to handle it. Lucifer walked as if he had been there before, even though he clearly had not. He looked at the buildings, the walls, the Shinigami moving around with purpose. "Your people love uniforms," he said. Ichigo scowled. "You love talking." Lucifer looked at him. "Yes." That simple answer made Ichigo more annoyed. In a sealed chamber made for meetings, they placed Lucifer in the center. Barriers rose not to trap him, Shunsui claimed, but to protect everyone else if something went wrong. Lucifer glanced around, amused. "This is your idea of polite." Urahara appeared at the edge of the chamber, fan in hand, smiling like he had just arrived for tea. Ichigo did not even know how he got in so fast. "You're here too?" Ichigo hissed. Urahara whispered back, "Of course. Someone needs to translate the nonsense." Lucifer heard him again and smiled. Shunsui sat on a raised seat, relaxed but ready. Captains took positions around the room. Byakuya stood silent, eyes sharp. Mayuri leaned forward like he wanted to cut Lucifer open with his gaze. Rukia stayed near the edge, trying to keep her breathing steady. Shunsui spoke first. "State your name again." "Lucifer," Lucifer said. Mayuri leaned in. "Origin." Lucifer's smile faded a bit. "Elsewhere." Byakuya's voice was cold. "Purpose?" Lucifer's eyes slid to him. "Curiosity." Mayuri clicked his tongue. "That is not an acceptable answer." Lucifer looked at Mayuri. "I'm not here to satisfy you." The room tightened again. Shunsui raised a hand. "Mayuri." "Enough." Mayuri's grin returned, but his eyes stayed hungry. Urahara stepped forward slightly, his fan open. "Let's try simpler. You said something in Karakura town, about hell." Lucifer's eyes sharpened, just a little. "Yes." Shunsui's tone stayed light. "We have a hell. We keep it separate. It stays closed unless something goes very wrong. Why did you say it was screaming?" Lucifer looked up, as if listening again. "It's loud," he said. "And it's unstable." Byakuya's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Lucifer's gaze returned to them. "Your hell is not a kingdom. It is a system. A machine. It punishes because it was built to punish. It has no proper ruler. No judge with a mind." Mayuri let out a small laugh. "A machine of suffering. How delightful." Rukia's stomach turned. She hated Mayuri's tone even on normal days. Lucifer's eyes slid to Mayuri, and Mayuri's smile twitched. "Careful," Lucifer said softly. "Some things should not be enjoyed." Ichigo frowned. You talk like you know hell. Lucifer's mouth curved. I know many hells. Shinsui's eyes narrowed in a way that did not show fear, but did show attention. Urahara watched Lucifer like he was timing his breathing. Then Lucifer asked again, like it was the most normal thing in the world. What do you want? Several captains stiffened. Shinsui blinked. Excuse me? Lucifer smiled. This is the part where you all pretend you want the same thing. Order, safety, duty. But that's not what you want. He looked at Shinsui first. You want to keep your people alive, Lucifer said, without becoming a monster yourself. Shinsui's smile faded. Just a little. Lucifer looked at Byakuya. You want to keep the law, Lucifer said, because without it, you fear you would lose the people you love. Byakuya's eyes tightened, but he did not deny it. Lucifer looked at Mayuri. You want to prove there is nothing you cannot break down and own, Lucifer said, even if it costs someone else their soul. Mayuri's grin stayed, but his eyes sharpened. And you want what, I wonder? Lucifer's smile returned, sharp as a blade. I want freedom, Lucifer said. And I want honesty. Ichigo's jaw clenched. Then be honest. Why are you here? Lucifer's face turned thoughtful again. I told you, he said. I was somewhere else. Then I wasn't. Urahara's fan paused. A forced crossing, he murmured, mostly to himself. Shinsui leaned forward. Did someone send you? Lucifer's eyes flicked. No. Rukia believed him. She did not know why, but she did. Mayuri's voice rose, excited. Then you are a rare anomaly. A tear in reality. A living violation. Lucifer's eyes turned cold for the first time. Don't call me that. Mayuri smiled wider. Or what? The room felt like it stopped breathing. Lucifer did not move. He did not raise his voice. But the pressure changed. It did not crush the room. It did not break bones. It simply made everyone feel, for half a second, what it would be like if the world decided they were not allowed to stand. Rukia's knees almost buckled. Ichigo dug his feet in. Shinsui's eyes hardened. Then it stopped. Cleanly, like a switch. Lucifer looked at Mayuri. Or I will stop being polite. Mayuri's grin thinned, but he leaned back, suddenly less eager. Shinsui exhaled slowly. All right, he said. We've established the obvious. You're dangerous. Lucifer nodded. Yes. And you're not attacking, Shinsui added. Lucifer's smile returned. Not yet. Ichigo snapped. What do you mean, not yet? Lucifer looked at him, calm again. I mean, I haven't been given a reason. Urahara's voice stayed gentle, but his eyes were sharp. Then let's make sure you don't find one. Lucifer's gaze went to Urahara. Urahara smiled, almost friendly. We'll keep an eye on you. You'll keep your hands clean, and we'll figure out why you showed up. Lucifer's smile softened. Acceptable. Shinsui tapped a finger on his seat. You'll be housed in a place that can handle unusual guests. Lucifer raised a brow. A hotel. Shinsui sighed. A very secure one. Lucifer looked almost pleased. As the meeting ended, Rukia felt it again. That deep vibration. That pull from far below. She looked down toward the ground as if she could see through stone. Lucifer noticed her glance. He leaned a little closer, voice low enough that only she and Ichigo could hear. It's getting louder, Lucifer said. Ichigo's throat went dry. What is? Lucifer's eyes were bright with interest in something else. Something like anger. Your hell, he said. It knows I'm here now. Far beneath Soul Society. Far beneath the world of the living. A place that was not meant to be walked like a road shifted in the dark. Chains that had not moved in a long time trembled. A gate that should have been closed pulsed once, like a giant heart. In a deep chamber of stone and seals, a single man sat in silence. Sosuke Aizen's eyes opened. He did not smile yet. He simply listened. He felt it, a presence that did not fit the laws of this world. A presence that made even hell react. Aizen's lips curved slightly. How interesting, he whispered to no one. Then he closed his eyes again, as if saving the rest of his thought for later. The first breach happened 3 nights later. Ichigo was walking home when the air turned heavy again. Not like before. This time it was angry, hot, bitter. He looked up and saw the sky ripple. Then he heard screaming. Not human screaming. Soul screaming. A red-black hole opened above an empty lot near the river. It looked like burned glass. The edges glowed like they were being cut by a blade made of heat. Rukia arrived an instant later. Renji followed. Then more Shinigami poured in, fast and tense. This feels like Renji started. Hell, Rukia finished, voice tight. The ground under the breach cracked. A giant shape forced itself through, dragging chains that sparked against the air. Its body was huge and twisted, like a monster built from punishment. Kusanada. Ichigo had seen them before, long ago, huge guards of hell. They moved like they were made to crush. This one roared, and the sound shook windows. Another followed. Then something else pushed through. Not as big, not as wild. It looked almost like a person in a cloak made of dark ash, with a mask that had no mouth. It floated instead of walking. Chains moved around it like living snakes. Rukia felt her blood run cold. That thing was not just a monster. It was watching. It turned its blank face toward Ichigo and the Shinigami line, then spoke in a voice that sounded like many voices stacked together. Anomaly detected, it said. Renji's eyes widened. It talks? The thing's head tilted, as if scanning. Foreign rule, foreign law, unauthorized presence. Rukia's breath caught. It's here for him. Ichigo's fists clenched. For Lucifer. As if the name was a key, the air behind them shifted. Lucifer appeared on a rooftop with no flash, no gate, no sound. 1 second the roof was empty. The next, he was there, hands in his pockets, watching like he had been called. Ichigo looked up. You felt it too? Lucifer's eyes stayed on the breach. Of course. He sounded almost annoyed. The warden, because that was what it felt like, turned toward Lucifer. Its chains lifted and pointed at him like fingers. Identify, it commanded. Lucifer smiled, but the smile had no warmth. No, he said. The warden's chains snapped forward. They were fast. They were heavy. They moved like they were not made of metal, but of rules. Each chain carried symbols that burned in the air like verdict stamps. Rukia shouted, "Get back!" Ichigo leaped forward anyway, blade out. He slashed at the chains. His sword hit, sparks flying, and the chain jerked, but it did not cut. It did not even weaken much. Ichigo's teeth grit. What are these things made of? Judgment, Lucifer said. The chain wrapped around Ichigo's arm and yanked. Ichigo slammed into the ground, cracking the pavement. Rukia moved, sword flashing. Sode no Shirayuki. Cold spread in a clean line. Ice formed under the chain, trying to lock it. The chain shuddered, slowed, but did not freeze fully. It dragged across the ice like it hated the idea of stopping. Renji whipped Zabimaru out, wrapping it around the chain and pulling with full strength. "Hold it," Renji yelled. More Shinigami fired Kido. Blue and red spells hit the chains, trying to bind them. For a second, it worked. The chains stopped, held in place by teamwork and pressure. Then the warden spoke again. Punishment protocol. Execute. The symbols on the chains flared. The Kido cracked. The ice splintered. Renji's grip shook. Ichigo felt the chain tighten, trying to pull something deeper than his body, like it wanted to grab his soul and drag it. Ichigo grunted, forcing himself up. "This is bad." Lucifer sighed, like he was watching someone misuse a tool. He stepped off the rooftop. He did not fall. He simply moved down through the air, feet touching nothing, like gravity was a polite suggestion. Rukia stared. Even captains could use air steps, but this looked different. Too calm, too natural. Lucifer landed on the ground between Ichigo and the breach. He looked at the chain wrapped around Ichigo. Then Lucifer said, "Let go." The chain tightened instead, as if offended. The warden lifted its arms, and more chains whipped forward, aiming for Lucifer's throat, his wrists, his chest. Lucifer did not dodge. He raised one hand. The chains stopped inches from his skin. Not because they hit a barrier, because they refused to move closer. Rukia felt it in her bones. The chains were made of Hell's authority. They were built to command. They were built to punish. And they had met something that did not accept their authority at all. Lucifer looked up at the warden, eyes bright. "Oh," he said softly, "so that's what you are." The warden's voice rose, louder, more layered. "Foreign king detected. System instability. Crown required." Ichigo blinked through pain. "Foreign king?" Lucifer's mouth curved, amused and angry at the same time. "I don't wear crowns," he said. The warden's chains flared again, now covered in heavier symbols, thicker and darker. "Bind," it commanded. The chains tried to rewrite the air around Lucifer. The ground cracked under his feet, forming a circle of burning marks. It was a trap meant for a ruler. Lucifer looked down at the circle. Then he stepped forward. The burning marks went out like candles. He did not break them by force. He canceled them by refusal. He walked toward the breach, calm as a man walking toward a door he planned to close. The Kusanada roared and swung a massive chained arm at him. Lucifer glanced at it, bored. The Kusanada's arm stopped mid-swing. The chain links rattled. Then the whole giant creature folded to one knee, not dead, but pushed down by a pressure it could not fight. Shinigami on the line froze. Mayuri's voice came through a communicator from somewhere behind, sharp and delighted. "Oh yes, wonderful." Byakuya arrived in a flash, petals of Senbonzakura already swirling, but he paused when he saw the scene. He did not like pausing in front of an enemy, but even he understood when the battlefield had changed. Shunsui appeared next, sword ready, eyes narrowed. He took one look at Lucifer in the breach and sighed. "Of course," Shunsui muttered. It couldn't be simple. Lucifer stopped a few steps from the breach. Heat rolled off it like a furnace. He looked into it, eyes narrowing. Inside, Ichigo saw movement, shadows, faces, arms reaching, souls pushing against a barrier like they were trapped behind a glass wall. Lucifer's jaw tightened. He lifted a hand toward the breach. The edges of the hole shook, like they were being grabbed by invisible fingers. The breach started to close. Slowly, carefully. The screams lowered a little. Then Lucifer stopped. His hand froze. Ichigo, still half-bound, shouted, "Why'd you stop? Close it!" Lucifer did not look back. His voice stayed calm, but it had an edge now. "Because there are souls caught in the seam," he said. "If I shut it like a door, I will cut them." Ichigo swallowed. Rukia's eyes widened. She had not expected that from him. Lucifer lowered his hand slightly and changed the motion, like he was adjusting a fine tool. The breach tightened, not snapping shut, but narrowing in a way that pushed souls back without crushing them. It was slow. It was precise. The warden's voice rose again, furious. "System violation. Foreign rule enforcing." Chains surged forward again, not toward Lucifer's body, but toward the breach itself. The warden was trying to keep it open, to force Hell's law into place. Shunsui moved. "All right," he said, voice firm. "Everyone support the seal. Don't get in his way." Byakuya's petals shot forward, slicing chains that were not fully protected by symbols. Even if they did not cut through, they pushed and slowed them. Rukia released another wave of cold, freezing the ground to anchor Shinigami positions and slow the hell heat creeping outward. Renji roared and yanked a chain away from a wounded Shinigami, dragging him to safety. Ichigo forced the chain off his arm by brute strength and spiritual pressure, then slammed his sword down into the ground to steady himself. He looked at Lucifer's back. Lucifer was doing something huge, and he looked like he was doing it because he chose to, not because he had to, not because he wanted praise, because he hated the way the system worked. The warden's chain struck again, now aimed at Lucifer's wrists like shackles. Lucifer's eyes flashed. He turned his head slightly, just enough to look at the warden. His smile was gone. "Listen," Lucifer said, voice low. The air went still. Even the Kushanata stopped moving. Lucifer spoke again, and the words felt like they carried weight. "I am not your missing piece," he said. "I am not your crown. I am not your answer." The warden's voice shook, almost like anger had entered the machine. Crown required. King required. Stability required. Lucifer's eyes hardened. "No," he said. He lifted his hand and snapped his fingers once. It was a small sound, but the chains around him shattered not into metal pieces, but into dust, like they were made of old paper. Rukia's breath caught. Mayuri's laughter came through the communicator, almost shaking. "Oh, that's beautiful." Shunsui's eyes stayed on Lucifer, and for the first time, Rukia saw something clear in him. Not just tired calm, caution. Because Shunsui was a leader, he knew what it meant when someone could do that with a snap. Lucifer turned back to the breach and finished the careful closing motion. The hole narrowed to a thin crack. The screams faded. Then the crack sealed with a soft sound, like a book closing. The heat dropped. The night air returned. For a second, everything was quiet except for heavy breathing and the rattle of armor settling. Then the warden moved. Not forward, backward. It drifted toward the fading marks left behind by the breach, and its chains coiled close like a snake pulling into a hole. Before it vanished, it spoke one last time. Not a command. A warning. "Hell will adapt," it said. "Hell will rewrite." Then it was gone. The Kushanata sank back into the ground like it had never been meant to stand in the living world. The last of its chains snapped away into nothing. Ichigo stood still, chest rising and falling, staring at the empty lot. Rukia felt the silence like a shock. Byakuya's petals slowed and returned to his blade. His face stayed calm, but his eyes were sharp. Shunsui walked closer to Lucifer, stopping a few steps away. "Thanks," Shunsui said, voice quiet. "I think." Lucifer looked at him. His expression had cooled back to normal. The faint smile returned, but it looked tired now. "You're welcome," Lucifer said. Ichigo stepped forward. "That thing called you a king." Lucifer's eyes flicked to him. Then he smiled a little wider. And there was humor again, like he liked the problem. "It calls anything strong enough to change the system a king," Lucifer said. "It's desperate." Rukia spoke, voice tight. "And it said hell will rewrite." Lucifer's gaze drifted downward, as if he could see through the earth again. "Yes," he said. "Now that it knows I exist, it will build new chains." Shinsui's eyes narrowed. "For you?" Lucifer looked up, smile sharp. "For me," he said. "And for everyone near me." Ichigo's fists clenched. "So what do we do?" Lucifer's eyes met his. And for the first time, the calm charm slipped, just a bit, and something older showed through. Something like a ruler who once sat in a place built from suffering. He spoke softly. "You decide," Lucifer said. "Do you want to treat me like a bomb you can lock away, or like a storm you must learn to live with?" Shinsui did not answer right away. Around them, Shinigami began to move again, tending to the injured, sealing leftover traces, scanning the area with tools. But the mood had changed. This was not a normal emergency. This was a message. A new player had stepped onto the board. And somewhere far below, behind doors that should not open, something in hell had started planning. A week passed, but the air did not go back to normal. Shunsui Kyoraku walked through Seiraite like a man carrying a quiet weight in his pockets. He kept his face relaxed. He even smiled at a few soldiers. But inside, his mind kept circling the same fact. A stranger had walked through captain-level Kido like it was fog. And hell had answered. The meeting room of Central 46 smelled like old paper and old power. The judges did not shout. They did not need to. Their words came out flat, like stone. "Contain the anomaly." Shunsui kept his hands in his sleeves. "We are observing him. Observation is not control." "We do not control storms," Shunsui said. "We prepare for them." A judge's voice sharpened. "You speak like a man who has already accepted failure." Shinsui's smile did not move. I speak like a man who has seen what happens when pride makes a plan too small. Another voice cut in, bright and eager. If you allow me full access, Mayuri Kurotsuchi said, I can produce a restraint method or a disassembly method. Either will. No, Shinsui said before Mayuri could finish. Mayuri's painted face twisted in a grin. How sentimental. Byakuya Kuchiki stood at the side, silent, watching the room like it was a battlefield. When he spoke, his voice was cold and simple. If he becomes a threat, we remove him. Shinsui nodded once. Yes. The judges leaned forward. Then why is he not sealed already? Shinsui did not raise his voice. Because you cannot seal what you do not understand. Silence stretched. Then the oldest judge spoke again. Your fear is clouding you. Shunsui's eyes narrowed. It's not fear. What is it? Shinsui breathed out. It's respect. The word hit the room like a slap. Mayuri laughed softly. Respect? For an intruder? Shinsui looked at Mayuri. For a being that could have crushed Karakura Town and chose not to. Byakuya's eyes tightened. Choice can change. Shinsui nodded. That's why we watch. That's why we keep him close enough to see the moment it changes. The judges murmured among themselves. Shinsui waited. He did not rush them. He had learned that rushing old power only made it dig in deeper. Finally, the lead judge spoke. You will maintain observation. You will prepare a seal plan. You will prepare a kill plan. Shunsui's smile returned, thin. We already are. And if hell breaches continue? Shunsui's gaze drifted, just for a moment, as if he could see through the walls and down into the dark. Then, he said, we admit the truth. What truth? That this is no longer just a problem, Shinsui said. It's a change. Kisuke Urahara's secure guest room did not feel like a prison. That was the point. It was a wide space, with soft light, clean floors, and barriers that did not look like bars. Hidden seals were woven into the air like thin threads. If someone looked hard enough, they could feel them. Lucifer did not look hard. He sat in a chair like a man waiting for a delayed train. His legs were crossed. His hands rested on his knee. His eyes were calm, but not sleepy. Urahara stood across from him with a clipboard, a fan, and a smile that never fully showed what he thought. Okay, Urahara said brightly. Let's do a simple test. Lucifer blinked once. No. Urahara's smile did not break. All right, let's do an even simpler test. Lucifer's mouth curved. You're persistent. Urahara leaned in a little. It's my hobby. Lucifer's eyes sharpened, amused. A hobby. Urahara tapped the clipboard. Tell me what you want. Lucifer's smile widened. Oh, we're doing that again. Urahara's fan snapped open. Yes, you started it. I'm just joining. Lucifer looked at him for a long moment, then answered without strain. Freedom, Lucifer said, and a reason not to be bored. Urahara nodded slowly. That tracks. Then Urahara took out a small watch. Lucifer raised a brow. Really? Urahara looked innocent. I'm timing how long it takes you to ask someone else that question. Lucifer laughed under his breath. It was quiet, but real. You think I'm predictable, Lucifer said. I think you have patterns, Urahara corrected. Patterns are not the same as weakness. Lucifer's eyes stayed on him. Careful, Kisuke. That almost sounded like respect. Urahara smiled. I respect danger. I don't always like it. Lucifer leaned back. Good. Urahara set the watch down and gestured at the air, where faint marks shimmered. We're trying to measure your spiritual pressure. Lucifer glanced at the marks. And? Urahara shrugged. It won't sit still. It doesn't behave like Reiatsu. Lucifer's voice was mild. Because it isn't. Urahara's smile turned smaller. Then what is it? Lucifer looked up at the ceiling like he was checking the weather again. It's will, he said. It's identity. It's what happens when a being says, I am, and means it. Urahara's eyes narrowed slightly. That's poetic. Lucifer looked back at him. No, it's literal. Urahara tapped his fan against his palm. All right. Another question. Lucifer's mouth twitched. Now you sound like me. Urahara leaned closer. What is your relationship to hell? Lucifer's smile faded. Not fully. Just enough to show the edge under it. I know it too well, he said. Urahara watched his face, trying to catch a crack. Lucifer did not crack. Urahara switched tactics. Do you feel responsible for what happened in Karakura? Lucifer's eyes moved toward the window, toward a place he could not see from here. I didn't open the breach, he said, but my existence made the system react. Urahara's fan paused. Like an immune system. Lucifer nodded once. Exactly. Urahara's voice softened a little, without losing caution. So you're a foreign body. Lucifer's gaze snapped back, sharp. Do not reduce me to a symptom. Urahara raised both hands. Fair. Wrong words. Lucifer stared for a moment longer, then the sharpness eased. Urahara breathed out silently. He had learned something important. Lucifer did not want to be treated like a tool, or like a thing. Urahara glanced at the watch again, like he was reminding himself to stay calm. Lucifer noticed and smiled faintly. 2 minutes, he said. Urahara blinked. 2 minutes for what? For me to ask you, Lucifer said. Tell me what you want. Urahara froze. Lucifer's eyes were bright with humor. Urahara sighed. I walked into that one. Lucifer leaned forward, relaxed, almost friendly. So? What do you want, Kisuke? Urahara's smile returned, but this time it was tired. I want, he said slowly, to keep my world from breaking. Lucifer studied him, then nodded like he respected the honesty. That's better, Lucifer said. Urahara swallowed down the chill in his spine and kept his voice light. Okay, he said. New question. What would make you leave? Lucifer's smile returned fully. A door. Urahara's fan stopped mid-wave. A door? Lucifer's eyes lifted again. A way home. Or a way forward. Something that isn't a cage. Urahara nodded, storing it away like a weapon he hoped not to use. Then the walls shivered. Not from the barriers. From below? Urahara felt it, and his smile disappeared for a heartbeat. Lucifer turned his head slightly, listening. It's trying again, Lucifer said. Urahara's voice turned serious. Another breach? Lucifer's eyes were calm, but there was a faint irritation now, like a man hearing a loud alarm. Yes, he said. And this time it's not near Karakura. Ichigo ran across the Seiritai roofs with Rukia at his side. His sandals hit tile and stone in fast rhythm. He had lived through enough strange events to know when a small problem was lying. This felt like one of those lies. They arrived near a training yard that should have been empty at night. It was not empty. A thin crack floated in the air above the ground. It looked like burned glass, the same red-black edge as the breach near the river. 3 Shinigami stood in front of it with their swords drawn, shaking. Not from fear of battle. From the pressure coming out of the crack. Ichigo could hear faint voices, like whispers trying to become screams. Rukia's eyes locked on the crack. Hell, she said. One of the Shinigami turned, face pale. Captain Kyoraku ordered us to hold position. He said reinforcements. The crack widened. A chain snapped out, fast as a whip, and wrapped around the Shinigami's wrist. Ichigo lunged forward and cut. His blade hit the chain and sparks flew, but the chain did not cut clean. It recoiled as if annoyed. Rukia moved in, her sword sweeping low. Ice spread under the Shinigami's feet, anchoring them. Don't let it pull you, she ordered. The crack pulsed again. Something pushed through. Not a giant this time. Not a warden. It was a spirit. Human-shaped, but wrong. Its skin looked cracked like dry stone. Chains hung from its arms like heavy jewelry. Its eyes were empty, but its mouth moved like it was trying to speak. It turned toward Ichigo, and Ichigo felt it. Not just danger, a pull inside his chest. Like the spirit was calling out to the part of him that wanted something. Something simple. Something raw. The spirit spoke in a broken voice. Protect, it whispered. Protect. Everyone. Ichigo's breath caught. The words hit him like a fist. Rukia grabbed his shoulder. "Ichigo, don't listen." Ichigo blinked hard. It sounded like me." Rukia's face was tight. "It's bait." The spirit stepped forward. More cracks spread across its body. Chains scraped stone. "Protect," it repeated. "If you're strong, you must." Ichigo clenched his teeth. He felt anger rise, fast and hot. Because part of him wanted to answer. Part of him wanted to promise. Rukia raised her sword. Back. The spirit jerked like it was hit by a sudden thought, then lunged. Rukia cut. Her blade sliced through its shoulder, and ice spread across the wound. The spirit did not scream. It smiled. That smile made Ichigo's stomach twist. Behind it, the crack widened again, like it was making room for more. A figure appeared at the edge of the yard without a sound. Lucifer. He did not run. He did not rush. He simply arrived, and the air changed. The spirit stopped moving. Its chains rattled, shaking, like they wanted to obey Lucifer, even if it was not told to. Lucifer stared at the spirit, expression flat. "What are you?" Lucifer asked. The spirit's mouth moved, and this time the voice that came out did not sound human. It sounded like a rule. "Desire response," it said. "Sin output." Rukia's eyes widened. Desire response? Lucifer's gaze shifted to the crack, then back to the spirit. "So you're not a guard," Lucifer said. "You're a message." The spirit tilted its head. "Foreign king," it whispered. "Crown required." Ichigo's jaw clenched. "It keeps saying crown." Lucifer's eyes flicked to him, because hell can't understand refusal. The spirit's chains lifted, aiming at Lucifer like shackles again. Lucifer did not move. He asked, calmly, "Tell me what you want." Rukia blinked. "Now?" Lucifer's eyes stayed on the spirit. "It's the only language it understands right now." The spirit's body shook. Then, in a voice that sounded almost like a child trying to speak, it said, "Order." Lucifer's mouth twitched. "And what will you do to get it?" Lucifer asked. The spirit's chains snapped outward faster. "Bind," it said. Lucifer sighed, like a teacher disappointed in a student. He lifted one finger. The chains stopped, not inches away this time. They stopped a full arm's length away, like they hit an invisible wall of no. Lucifer stepped forward. He placed his palm on the spirit's chest. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cracks in the spirit's body lit up with red-black fire. The spirit screamed. Ichigo moved instinctively to stop Lucifer. Rukia grabbed his arm. "Wait." Ichigo's teeth gritted. "He's hurting it." Rukia's eyes stayed locked. "He's doing something else." Lucifer's voice was low. "You're not a person," he said to the spirit. "You're a program. You're a hook." The spirit's scream turned into static. Lucifer pulled his hand away. The spirit collapsed to the ground like a puppet with cut strings. Its chains clattered, then crumbled into dust. The crack in the air shuddered. Lucifer looked at it, and his face hardened. "You're getting bold," he said, speaking to something deeper than the crack. The crack narrowed on its own, like a mouth pulling back. Then it snapped shut. The yard went quiet again. Ichigo's chest rose and fell. What was that thing? Lucifer glanced at him. "A piece of hell's reaction," he said. "It's learning how to target you." Rukia's voice was sharp. "Target us how?" Lucifer's eyes met hers. "With what you want." Ichigo's fists tightened. "So it's trying to mess with our heads." Lucifer nodded. "Hell is not just heat and chains," he said. "It's hunger, it's guilt, it's desire." Rukia swallowed. "And you think it's doing this because you're here?" Lucifer's gaze shifted to the ground again, as if he could see through worlds. "Yes," he said simply. Ichigo stepped closer. "Then fix it." Lucifer looked at him, calm, unblinking. "You want me to take control," Lucifer said. Ichigo snapped. "I want you to stop it." Lucifer's voice stayed even. "Those are not the same thing." Ichigo opened his mouth, then closed it. Because he knew Lucifer was right, and he hated that. Rukia watched Lucifer's face. "Why do you care at all?" she asked. "You could leave us to handle it." Lucifer's eyes flickered. For a second, he looked far away. Then he answered in a voice that was almost honest enough to hurt. "Because I know what happens when a system like this runs without a mind," Lucifer said. "It doesn't punish the guilty. It punishes whoever it can reach." Ichigo stared. "So you're against it?" Lucifer's mouth curved. "I'm against anything that pretends cruelty is justice." Rukia's grip on her sword loosened just a little. Then a flash of black and white cloth appeared behind them. Mayuri. He stood at the edge of the yard like he had been waiting. His grin was wide. "What a useful demonstration," he said. Ichigo's anger spiked. "How did you get here so fast?" Mayuri ignored him and focused on Lucifer. "So hell responds to you. It outputs creatures based on desire. Fascinating." Lucifer's eyes narrowed. "You followed me." Mayuri lifted a small device. "Observation." Lucifer's voice turned cold. "No, curiosity." Mayuri's grin sharpened. "Of course. That's my favorite kind." Mayuri clicked the device. A thin net of light fired toward Lucifer's face. Ichigo shouted, "Stop." Lucifer did not even flinch. The net stopped midair. It trembled like a trapped insect. Lucifer looked at Mayuri. Then he said very softly, "Don't." Mayuri's grin did not fade, but his eyes tightened. Lucifer's voice stayed calm. "If you try to take me apart, I will make sure you learn what it feels like." Ichigo felt the chill go up his spine. Even Rukia looked uneasy. Mayuri tilted his head. "Is that a threat?" Lucifer smiled. "It's a boundary." Mayuri's grin widened again, but his feet shifted back by half a step. Shunsui appeared in the yard with a tired sigh, like he had been called by the sound of trouble. "Mayuri," Shunsui said, "go back to your lab." Mayuri clicked his tongue. "You're no fun." "Correct," Shunsui said. Mayuri vanished in a flash. Shunsui looked at Lucifer. "We're getting reports of small hell cracks like this. Here, in the Seirite." Lucifer nodded. "It's probing," he said, "testing responses." Shunsui's eyes narrowed. "Then what's your plan?" Lucifer stared at the empty air where the crack had been. Then he spoke with quiet certainty. "I'm going to look at it directly," he said. Rukia's eyes widened. "Hell?" Lucifer nodded. Ichigo stepped forward. "You're going in?" Lucifer glanced at him. "Yes." Shunsui's tone sharpened. "And you think we'll let you do that alone?" Lucifer's smile returned, small. "You can try to stop me." Shunsui sighed. "That's not what I said." Lucifer met his gaze. For a moment, there was a strange understanding between them. A leader who carried responsibility, and a being who refused chains. Shunsui finally spoke, slow and careful. "If we go with a team. We go with anchors. We go with a way back." Lucifer's eyes gleamed with mild approval. "Good," he said. "Bring your clever man." Shunsui blinked. "Urahara?" Lucifer nodded. "Yes, he will be useful." Ichigo's jaw set. "I'm going too." Rukia grabbed his sleeve. "Ichigo, I'm not letting him walk into hell alone," Ichigo said. "If this is because of him, then I need to see it." Lucifer looked at Ichigo, and for the first time, his smile looked almost proud. "Brave," he said. Ichigo glared. "Don't compliment me like that." Lucifer's smile widened. "Tell me what you want then." Ichigo groaned. "Not now." Shunsui rubbed his forehead. "Please don't start that again." Lucifer looked innocent. "It's a habit." Shunsui muttered. "Wonderful." And deep below, far from the yard, something in darkness listened and adjusted. In a place that did not have windows, a man sat bound by thick seals and stronger rules. Aizen did not need to see to know. He felt it like a new note in a song. He closed his eyes and followed the feeling, calm and curious. A presence that did not belong. A force that made hell behave like a living thing. Aizen's lips curved into a small smile. So, he thought, the world has found a new kind of temptation. He did not rush. He did not panic. Aizen enjoyed long games. And this game had just become interesting again. The next day, the preparations began. Urahara moved like a man building a bridge over a storm. He set charms on the floor in a circle. He placed small devices around the room that hummed softly. He drew symbols that looked like Kido, but with extra lines and strange angles. Ichigo watched, arms crossed. That's a lot. Urahara smiled. Hell is unfriendly. Rukia stood beside Ichigo, face serious. This is reckless. Urahara's smile stayed. Yes. Rukia frowned. You agree? Urahara shrugged. It can be reckless and necessary at the same time. Shunsui stood at the doorway, listening to reports from his officers. Byakuya had been offered the mission. He accepted without changing his expression. Mayuri demanded to join. Shunsui said no. Mayuri then demanded to send equipment. Shunsui sighed and said yes, as long as it stayed out of everyone's way. So Mayuri's little black devices hovered at the edge of the room like bugs. Lucifer appeared without warning, as he always did. He looked at the circle on the floor. Anchors. Urahara nodded. If the path tries to cut us off, these should pull us back. Lucifer hummed like he approved. Rukia watched him carefully. You keep saying hell is a system. Lucifer glanced at her. It is. Then who built it? Rukia asked. Lucifer's eyes flickered. That is the correct question, he said. Ichigo stared at him. You're acting like you know the answer. Lucifer smiled faintly. I know the kinds of minds that build places like that. Shunsui stepped into the room, voice quiet but firm. We leave at dusk. Lucifer nodded. Good. Urahara lifted a small charm and handed it to Ichigo. Wear this. If you get separated, it will tug toward me. Ichigo stared at it. It's like a leash. Urahara smiled. It's like a rope. Try not to be dramatic. Lucifer's eyes moved to the charm, and he smirked. See? Even your clever man builds polite cages. Urahara waved his fan. Polite ropes. Lucifer's smile widened. Tell me what you want, Kisuke. Urahara sighed deeply. To survive the next 12 hours. Lucifer nodded. Excellent goal. Even Byakuya's mouth twitched, just barely. Ichigo noticed and almost laughed, but he stopped himself. Dusk came, and the air turned heavy again. Not with fear, with the feeling of a door being touched. Lucifer stepped into the circle. Urahara, Shunsui, Ichigo, Rukia, and Byakuya formed around him. Renji begged to come, but Shunsui ordered him to stay and guard Seiraite. Lucifer looked at the group and, for a moment, his expression softened. Brave, he said again, quieter. Shunsui sighed. Let's just get this done. Lucifer placed his hand in the air. Nothing was there, but the world reacted like something had been grabbed. A line appeared. Clean. Sharp. It opened like a cut. Heat and pressure rolled out, and beyond it was a red-black sky. Hell. The first thing Ichigo noticed was the sound. Not screams. Not at first. It was a low hum, like chains rubbing stone far away. The second thing he noticed was the smell. Not smoke. Something older, like burnt metal and dust. They stepped onto black rock that looked like it had been melted and cooled again. The sky above was dark red, like a constant sunset that never moved. Rukia's breath came out as a thin cloud. Not because it was cold, because her body was reacting to the wrongness. Byakuya's eyes scanned the horizon, blade ready. Shunsui's posture stayed loose, but his hand was on his sword. Urahara looked around like a scientist in a dangerous museum. Lucifer stood still and listened. It's angry, Lucifer said. Ichigo swallowed. The whole place? Lucifer nodded. The system. A shadow moved in the distance. Then another. Shapes crawled over the rocks like insects, but larger, heavier. A group of hell creatures approached, dragging chains behind them. Their bodies were thin and warped. Their faces looked like masks stretched over bone. Rukia's voice was tight. Those aren't hollows. Urahara nodded. Different energy. One creature rushed first. Byakuya moved with perfect speed, blade flashing. Senbonzakura scattered into a storm of petals and sliced through the creature. The petals hit. They cut, but the creature did not fall. The cut lines on its body glowed red-black and stitched themselves back together. Byakuya's eyes narrowed. Shunsui stepped forward and slashed. His blade hit the creature's arm and cut deep. The creature's arm fell. Then the arm crawled back like it was alive and tried to reconnect. Ichigo's eyes widened. That's disgusting. Urahara tossed a small tag that stuck to the creature's chest. The tag flashed. The creature froze for half a second. Then the tag cracked and burned away. Urahara's smile thinned. Okay, that's bad. Rukia swept her blade low. So no, Shirayuki. A clean wave of ice spread across the ground and climbed the creature's legs. This time, the creature slowed. It did not heal through ice as easily. Rukia's eyes sharpened. Cold works. Useful, Byakuya said, simple and approving. Ichigo stepped in and swung with full force, slamming his blade into the creature's torso. It flew back and hit a rock wall hard enough to crack it. The creature tried to stand again, cracks glowing. Ichigo gritted his teeth. Why won't you stay down? Lucifer finally moved. He walked forward, calm, and placed his hand on the creature's head. The creature froze like a dog hearing its master. Lucifer spoke softly. Stop, he said. The creature's body went still. Not dead. Just off. Ichigo stared. You can just do that? Lucifer glanced back. They're not alive the way you are, he said. They're functions. Urahara's eyes widened. Functions of punishment. Lucifer nodded. More creatures crawled closer, but they stopped when they saw what happened. They did not charge. They watched, like they were learning. Shunsui's eyes narrowed. It's studying us. Lucifer looked toward the horizon. Yes, he said. And it's building an answer. A deep vibration rolled through the rock under their feet. Rukia's breath caught. That feeling again. Lucifer's gaze sharpened. It's calling the warden. The air ahead rippled. A crack formed, larger than the ones above Seiraite. Chains slid out first, like feelers. Then the warden drifted forward. Cloak of ash moving like smoke underwater. Its blank mask turned toward Lucifer. Foreign king, it said. Crown required. Ichigo stepped forward. We're not doing this again. The warden ignored him and lifted both arms. Chains rose from the ground around them like snakes coming out of holes. Byakuya moved instantly, petals slicing, clearing space. Shunsui drew his blade, stepping into a defensive stance. Rukia spread ice in a wide ring, trying to slow the chains. Ichigo surged forward, cutting and pushing. But the chains kept coming. They were not just attacking, they were drawing a circle. A ritual. Urahara's eyes widened. It's building a seat, he muttered. Lucifer's expression turned flat. Yes. A shape formed on the rock, something like a throne made of chains and glowing marks. The warden spoke again, louder. Stability required. King required. Morningstar required. Rukia froze. Ichigo blinked. Morningstar? Urahara's fan stopped mid-wave. Byakuya's eyes narrowed sharply. What did it call you? Lucifer's jaw tightened. A title. The warden's chain surged toward Lucifer's shoulders, aiming to place a heavy collar like a crown. Lucifer stepped forward. The chains stopped. He did not snap them this time. He did something worse. He reached out and grabbed one chain with his bare hand. The chain burned against his skin. Symbols flared, trying to mark him. Lucifer's eyes turned cold. The symbols faded. The chain went dull, like it lost meaning. Lucifer let it drop. The warden's voice shook. Illegal variable. It hissed. Lucifer smiled, sharp. Correct. Urahara's eyes moved fast, watching every detail. The way the chain lost its rule. The way hell's authority slid off Lucifer like rain off glass. He whispered, mostly to himself. He doesn't resist the law. He refuses it. The warden thrust its arms outward. The throne of chains pulled, trying to drag Lucifer into place. The ground cracked. Heat rose. Ichigo's feet slid as the pull grabbed the air. Rukia's ice cracked. Shunsui dug his sandals into the rock, but even he felt the tug. Lucifer looked down at the forming throne. Then he looked up at the warden. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of a final answer. "I do not rule because you need a ruler," Lucifer said, "and I do not kneel because you are afraid." The warden's chains wrapped around the air itself and tightened. For a moment, Ichigo felt like his own thoughts were being pulled. Like the place was trying to write a story where Lucifer sat on the throne, whether Lucifer agreed or not. Then Lucifer exhaled, and the pressure shifted, not outward, inward. Like the whole space around Lucifer drew a line and said, "No further." The chain snapped, not into pieces, into dust. The throne collapsed into nothing. The glowing marks on the ground went dark. The warden drifted back slightly, as if stunned. Rukia's breath shook. He just canceled it. Shunsui's eyes narrowed, deeply uneasy and deeply impressed at the same time. Byakuya's face stayed calm, but his grip tightened on his sword. Urahara swallowed. That shouldn't be possible. Lucifer looked at Urahara, and yet, the warden's blank mask turned slowly, like it was processing. Then it spoke in a voice that sounded less like a machine and more like anger. "You were built for a throne," it said. Lucifer's eyes flashed. "No," he answered. "I was built for light." The words hung in the red air. Ichigo stared at Lucifer's profile. Built for light? Morningstar? King? Pieces clicked in his head, but he didn't have time to fully grab them, because the rock under them shook again. Far away, a deeper gate pulsed. Not near them. Behind them, Urahara turned sharply. "That's not our entry point." Shunsui's voice tightened. It opened another door. Rukia's eyes widened. Back in Soul Society? Urahara checked a device in his hand, its screen trembling with signals. "Multiple spikes," he said. "Not just there. Several places." Ichigo's heart sank. "It's opening more gates while we're here." Lucifer's gaze lifted to the red sky, listening. "Of course it is," Lucifer said. "It wants leverage." The warden drifted backward toward the deeper gate. "Hell will adapt," it said. "Hell will rewrite." Then it vanished into the dark. Shunsui did not chase it. He made a quick decision. "We go back," he said. Lucifer looked at him. "If we go back now, it keeps learning without us." Shunsui's voice was firm. "If we stay, our world burns while we learn." Lucifer held Shunsui's gaze. For a moment, it felt like two kinds of leadership clashed. One ruled by duty, one ruled by refusal. Lucifer's eyes softened a fraction. "Fine," Lucifer said. "But first I want one thing." Shunsui blinked. "Now is not the time." Lucifer looked past them, toward the horizon again. "I want to see the core," Lucifer said. "Just a glimpse, to confirm what I suspect." Urahara's voice rose, alarmed. "Lucifer, if we go deeper..." Lucifer cut him off gently. "You came because you wanted answers." Urahara froze. Lucifer's eyes met his. "Tell me what you want," Lucifer said. Urahara's mouth opened, then closed. He hated this, because it worked. Finally, Urahara answered, honest and quiet. "I want," he said, "to know what kind of hell this is before it reaches our homes." Lucifer nodded. "Good." He stepped forward and placed his palm on the air. A thin line opened ahead, not a gate out, but a window in. The red-black sky peeled back like a curtain. For a heartbeat, they saw something deeper. Not flames, not lava. A vast structure of chains and marks, layered like a giant machine. Symbols moved along it like flowing text. Gates opened and closed in patterns. And at the center, faint but clear, was a space shaped like a seat. A place built for a ruler. A place trying to become a crown. Rukia's throat went dry. "It's making room." Byakuya's voice was flat. For him. Lucifer's face turned cold with dislike. He closed the window with a simple motion. Then he looked at the team. "Now," he said, "we go back." Urahara swallowed hard, then activated his anchor charms. The circle behind them flashed, pulling like a rope. The world twisted. Heat fell away, and they slammed back into the clean air of Soul Society. The moment they returned, alarms rang. Not one, many. Ichigo's stomach dropped as he saw the sky above Seireitei. Thin cracks, like spider lines, had formed in the air far away. Small, but real. Rukia's eyes widened. No. Shunsui's face turned serious in a way Ichigo had only seen during war. Urahara checked his device again. His smile was gone. Not just here, Urahara said. Karakura, Rukongai edges, multiple points. Ichigo clenched his fists. Hell's opening everywhere. Lucifer stared up at the cracks, expression unreadable. Then he spoke, quiet and sharp. It's rewriting its rules, Lucifer said, and it's doing it fast. Rukia turned to him, voice tight. Because you refused the crown. Lucifer looked at her. Yes, he said. Because I refused to be its cage. Shunsui's eyes narrowed. So what now? Lucifer's gaze stayed on the sky. The cracks shimmered like wounds. We have a choice, Lucifer said. You can try to seal me away and pretend that fixes it. Ichigo snapped. That won't fix it. Lucifer glanced at him. No, it won't. Urahara's voice was low. Then what's the other choice? Lucifer's smile returned, but it looked dangerous now. The other choice, Lucifer said, is we stop treating hell like a box and start treating it like an enemy that learns. A deep vibration rolled through the ground again. Somewhere in Seireitei, a crack widened. A chain slipped through, and this time, it did not just lash at the air. It reached for a person, not a captain. A normal Shinigami on patrol, caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. He screamed as the chain wrapped his ankle and dragged. Ichigo moved instantly, leaping forward. Rukia followed. Shunsui drew his blade. Byakuya's petals flared. Urahara's hands flew to his seals. Lucifer stepped forward, calm as ever, and the chain hesitated. But it did not stop. It was learning. And as it pulled, the air itself seemed to whisper a single idea, over and over, like a new rule being written. Crown required. King required. Morningstar required. Ichigo's eyes flashed with anger and fear. Because now it wasn't just about a breach. It was about a world trying to force someone into a role. And the person refusing that role was standing right beside them, smiling like he would rather burn the whole script than read his lines. 2 weeks later, Seireitei learned a new schedule. Not an official one, not written on any board, but everyone felt it. Hell cracks came in short bursts now, a thin line in the air, a pulse under the ground, a smell like hot metal. Then a chain would snap out, fast and hungry. And when that happened, people stopped shouting first. They looked up, because the guest might appear. Ichigo hated that he got used to it. He stood on a roof near the 1st Division barracks when the next crack formed above a side street. A patrol squad below froze. One younger Shinigami reached for a Kido tag with shaking hands. The crack widened enough to show darkness behind it. A chain slid out, searching. Ichigo jumped down. "Back!" he shouted. The chain snapped at him. He cut. Sparks flew. The chain recoiled, then struck again. Smarter this time, aiming for his ankle. A second chain followed, aiming for his sword arm. Ichigo gritted his teeth. "You're learning," a calm voice answered from behind him. Yes. Lucifer was there, hands in his pockets, standing like he had been watching the whole time. His suit looked perfect, which somehow made the situation feel more insulting. The patrol squad stared. One of them whispered, "That's him." Lucifer stepped forward. The chains paused. Ichigo felt it again. Not a blast, not a wave, but a simple change in the air, like the rules of the space got rewritten by presence alone. Lucifer looked at the crack and spoke in a tone like he was addressing a rude employee. "Enough," he said. The crack narrowed, fighting it. Lucifer sighed, almost bored, and tapped the air once with 2 fingers. The crack snapped shut. The chains vanished like they had never existed. The street went quiet. The young Shinigami swallowed hard. Thank you." Lucifer turned to him and smiled, friendly again. "Tell me what you want," Lucifer said. The Shinigami blinked, confused. "What?" Ichigo groaned out loud. "Don't start." Lucifer's smile widened. Too late. The Shinigami's eyes darted between Ichigo and Lucifer. I want to live?" Lucifer nodded once, satisfied. "Good. Then stop standing under doors you don't understand." Ichigo rubbed his forehead. "He's like this all the time." Lucifer looked at Ichigo. "And yet you keep showing up." Ichigo pointed at the sky. "Because this keeps happening." Lucifer's expression sharpened a fraction. "Yes, because hell is still trying to force an answer." Ichigo stepped closer, lowering his voice. "So do something bigger. End it." Lucifer met his eyes. "You want me to take control," Lucifer said. Ichigo clenched his jaw. "I want you to stop it." Lucifer nodded slowly. "You keep saying that like it's simple. It should be simple for you." Ichigo snapped. Lucifer's smile disappeared. Not into anger, into something quieter. "It's simple to crush a thing," Lucifer said. "It's harder to fix a system without becoming its ruler." Ichigo stared, breathing hard, then forced himself to calm down. Rukia appeared in a flash nearby, landing lightly. "You're arguing again," she said. Ichigo muttered. "He won't just—" Lucifer cut in, polite. "She knows." Rukia looked at Lucifer. "We also know Central 46 is running out of patience." Lucifer tilted his head. "Yes. Your judges want a cage." Rukia's voice stayed flat. "They want control." Lucifer's eyes flicked to her sword, then back to her face. "And you?" Rukia stiffened. Ichigo groaned again. "Here we go." Rukia hesitated just long enough that Ichigo noticed. Then she answered, honest and sharp. "I want the cracks to stop," she said. "And I want Soul Society to stay Soul Society." Lucifer nodded as if he respected that. "Good," Lucifer said. "Then your leaders must choose truth over comfort." Rukia narrowed her eyes. "What truth?" Lucifer's gaze lifted far away, as if he was listening through worlds. "That hell isn't only reacting to me," Lucifer said. "It's reacting to your world's balance. It's reacting to the lie that it can run forever without a mind." Ichigo felt a chill. "A lie?" Lucifer looked back at him. "Who decided who goes there?" he asked simply. "Who decided what it does? Who decided it never changes?" Rukia's throat tightened. "That's not how it works." Lucifer's smile returned, faint. "You're sure?" Before Rukia could answer, a distant alarm rang out across Seiraite. Then another. Then another. Multiple divisions. Multiple directions. Ichigo's stomach dropped. Urahara's voice crackled through a communicator Urahara had forced on him for safety. "Ichigo-kun," Urahara said quickly, smile gone even in his voice. "It's happening everywhere. Karakura too." Ichigo's eyes widened. "Now?" "Yes," Urahara said. "This is the big one." Lucifer's eyes sharpened. "Of course." Rukia turned. "We need Captain Commander Kyoraku." Lucifer took one step, then paused. He looked at Ichigo and Rukia. "You two," Lucifer said, "will hold lines and save people. That's what you do." Ichigo bristled. "What about you?" Lucifer's gaze turned cold in a calm way. "I'm going to talk to your other problem," Lucifer said. Rukia's eyes narrowed. "What other—" Lucifer was already gone. No flash, no gate, no sound. He simply wasn't there. Ichigo swore under his breath. "He does that on purpose." Rukia's eyes stayed on the empty air. "He's going somewhere deep." Ichigo nodded. "Yeah, and I don't like it." Shunsui Kyoraku stood in the 1st Division war room as maps lit up with red marks. Each mark was a crack. Each crack was a door, and doors were opening too fast. An officer reported, voice tight, "Rukongai edge breach, 3 injured, 1 missing." Another reported, "Karakura breach near the river again. Kurosaki Ichigo is engaged." A third, "Seiraite, south wall crack. Chains reached the street." Shunsui listened and kept his face calm. He gave orders in a low voice. He moved units, like he was moving water to put out fires. But inside, he felt the truth pressing harder. This was not random anymore. This was coordinated. Then Urahara walked in, hat low, eyes serious. "It's a pattern," Urahara said, placing a sheet on the table. "It's not just opening doors. It's pulling at specific people." Shunsui frowned. "Who?" Urahara tapped the paper. "People with strong wants," Urahara said simply. "Protect, control, revenge, guilt. The cracks form near them faster, like hell is sniffing out desire." Shunsui's gaze hardened. "And Lucifer?" Urahara hesitated. "He's the anchor of the reaction," Urahara said. "But he's not the cause of desire. He's the reason hell is changing its method." Shunsui breathed out. "Central 46 will blame him anyway," Shunsui said. Urahara nodded. "Yes." Shunsui's eyes narrowed. "Where is he?" Urahara's voice dropped. "He asked me one question last night." Shunsui waited. Urahara swallowed once. "He asked me where you keep Aizen." The room went still. Several officers stiffened. Shunsui's eyes sharpened. "He asked about Muken." Urahara nodded. He didn't threaten. He didn't demand. He just asked. Shunsui stared at the maps, then back at Urahara. "I was hoping to avoid that," Shunsui said quietly. Urahara's fan snapped open, not for show, but because it helped him think. "He thinks Aizen understands systems," Urahara said. "And cages. And crowns." Shunsui's mouth tightened. "Aizen understands control." Urahara nodded. "And Lucifer hates it. That's why it might work." Shunsui looked at the flashing red marks again. Doors, doors, doors. He made the choice he hated making. "Take me to him," Shunsui said. Lucifer stood in a corridor so deep the air felt older than time. Muken did not welcome visitors. It swallowed sound. It swallowed confidence. Even Shunsui felt it every time he came here. Lucifer did not seem bothered. A sealed chamber opened. Inside, Aizen sat bound, calm as a man enjoying a quiet afternoon. His eyes lifted, and he smiled. "So," Aizen said, voice smooth, "you're the new disturbance." Lucifer tilted his head. "And you're the old one." Shunsui stayed near the doorway, hand on his sword. Urahara stood beside him, face neutral, eyes sharp. Aizen's gaze moved to Shunsui with mild amusement. "You brought guests. How generous." Lucifer stepped forward, stopping at a safe distance. Aizen studied him, then spoke like he was tasting a name. "Morningstar," Aizen said. Shunsui's eyes flicked sharply to Lucifer. Urahara's fan paused. Lucifer's smile turned thin. "So hell is gossiping." Aizen's smile widened. "Names are power, aren't they?" Lucifer's eyes stayed bright, not fooled. "No," Lucifer said. "Choice is power. Names are just labels people use when they're afraid." Aizen chuckled softly. "I like you," Lucifer answered without emotion. "No, you don't. You like what you can do with me." Aizen's eyes gleamed. "Direct. Good." Shunsui's voice was low. "This is not a social visit, Aizen." Aizen ignored him and looked at Lucifer. "You're standing near a broken machine," Aizen said. "A machine that decides where souls go. You can feel it, can't you? The way it grinds." Lucifer's expression sharpened. "Yes." Aizen's voice grew gentler, like he was offering help. "Then let's fix it." Urahara's eyes narrowed. "By tearing it apart." Aizen's smile stayed. "Sometimes you have to." Lucifer's eyes did not blink. "And what do you want in return?" Aizen leaned back, chains clinking softly, and spoke as if it was the simplest answer in the world. "A world that makes sense," Aizen said. "A world with a ruler who chooses order over chaos." Lucifer's smile turned almost friendly. Then he laughed once, short and sharp. "You think I want to be your ruler?" Lucifer said. Aizen's gaze stayed steady. "I think you hate cages," Aizen said. "And I think you're staring at the biggest cage of all, a system that forces suffering because no one dares to change it." Lucifer's eyes narrowed. That's true. Aizen's smile softened like a teacher's. Then take the throne Hell is building. Wear the crown. Stabilize the doors. If you do it, you become the law. And if you become the law, nothing forces you again. Shunsui's jaw tightened. Don't listen. Lucifer did not look at Shunsui. He kept his eyes on Aizen. You're clever, Lucifer said. You use truth as bait. Aizen's smile widened. It worked. You agree with part of it. Lucifer nodded once. Yes, Hell is wrong. Aizen waited. Lucifer continued, voice calm and deadly clear. But if I become the law, Lucifer said, I become a cage too. Aizen's eyes narrowed slightly. Or you become freedom with teeth. Lucifer stepped closer, just enough to make the air tighten. No, Lucifer said. You don't want freedom. You want control with a pretty mask. Aizen's smile did not fade. And you want to be the hero? Lucifer's eyes flashed with humor. I don't do hero. Urahara's fan moved again, slow. He watched Lucifer carefully, as if waiting for a moment of anger. Lucifer did not give it. He asked Aizen softly, Tell me what you want. Shunsui stiffened. Urahara's eyes widened a fraction. Even here, Lucifer used that question like a blade. Aizen's smile stayed, but his eyes sharpened. I want, Aizen said slowly, a world where no one can judge me. Lucifer nodded, satisfied. Thank you, Lucifer said. That's all I needed. Aizen's smile turned colder. You're refusing my offer. Lucifer's voice stayed calm. Yes. Aizen's gaze hardened. Then you'll fail. Hell will keep opening doors. Your refusal becomes everyone else's pain. Lucifer looked at Shunsui then, finally. Shunsui held his gaze, tired and firm. Ichigo's words came back to Lucifer, simple and annoying and honest. You don't have to own it to help. Lucifer's smile returned, smaller now. I don't need your plan, Lucifer told Aizen. I need your confirmation. Aizen's eyes narrowed. Of what? Lucifer's gaze lifted, listening to distant alarms. That the system is built around a missing seat, Lucifer said. That it will keep trying to crown someone, anyone strong enough. Aizen's smile returned, slow. Yes, Aizen admitted, it will. Lucifer nodded once. Then he turned away. Aizen's voice followed him, smooth and sharp. Morningstar, if you refuse to rule, then you accept the chaos. Lucifer did not stop walking. He answered without looking back. No, Lucifer said. I accept boundaries. Karakura town was burning with light. Not fire, not smoke. Cracks in the air glowed red-black across the sky like thin wounds. Chains reached down like fishing lines, snapping at souls, pulling at people's feet, wrapping around street signs, scraping the ground. Ichigo stood in the middle of the main road, blade up, eyes wild. A chain shot for a little girl standing frozen on the sidewalk, unable to see what was happening, only feeling the fear. Ichigo moved faster than thought, cutting the chain and pushing her back toward a safer doorway. Get inside, he shouted. The girl stumbled away, crying. A new creature pushed through a crack above the road. It was human-shaped but taller than any man. Its body was made of cracked stone and moving symbols. Chains wrapped around its arms like armor. It looked at Ichigo, and it smiled with Ichigo's own stubbornness. Protect, it whispered. Ichigo's stomach dropped. No. The creature stepped forward, fast. Ichigo clashed with it, blade against chain arm. Sparks flew. The creature hit like a truck. Ichigo slid back, shoes carving lines in the road. He swung again. Stronger. The creature blocked with chains that moved like they predicted him. Rukia appeared at Ichigo's side, sword up, face tight. It's copying you, she said. Ichigo grunted. It's mocking me. More cracks opened. Renji fought two chain beasts on a rooftop, shouting curses between swings. Urahara stood near a barrier circle, throwing seals like cards, trying to lock cracks shut one by one. Shunsui's captains fought across Seirete and Karakura both, spreading thin. And above it all, the air pulsed with the same message. Crown required. King required. Morningstar required. Then the biggest crack opened. Not over Karakura. Between worlds. A black-red door split the sky, wide enough to swallow a building. The warden drifted out, cloak of ash spreading like smoke. Its chains stretched across the air, touching multiple cracks at once, like it was connecting them into one network. Shunsui appeared on a nearby rooftop, eyes hard. "This is it," he muttered. The warden's voice boomed, layered and cruel. "Stability now," it commanded. "Crown now." Chains surged toward Ichigo, not to kill him, but to bind him, to use him as bait. Ichigo fought, cutting, pushing, refusing. But the pressure increased. Rukia's ice spread across the street, freezing chains to slow them. Byakuya's petals shredded weaker links. Shunsui's blade danced, cutting openings, protecting the lines. Still, the network kept growing. Because this was not only a fight, it was a demand. Then Lucifer arrived. He stepped onto the air above the road as if it were solid ground. He looked down at the chaos. He looked at Ichigo. He looked at the warden. And his face showed something rare. Not boredom. Not amusement. Disgust. "You're making a mess," Lucifer said. The warden's chains lifted toward him like worship and threat together. "Morningstar," it said. "Seat ready." Urahara shouted from below, "Lucifer, if you take that seat, it might stop the cracks." Lucifer glanced at him. Then he looked at Shunsui, who had landed nearby. Shunsui's eyes were tired, but steady. "You don't have to own it to help," Shunsui said quietly, surprising even himself by repeating Ichigo's idea in his own words. "But you do have to choose." Lucifer nodded once. He raised his hands slowly, palms open. The chains paused, confused. Lucifer spoke, and his voice carried without shouting. "You want a king," Lucifer said. "You want a crown. You want to turn a mind into a lock." The warden's voice rose. "Crown required." Lucifer's eyes flashed. "No," he said simply. The warden's chains surged. Lucifer did not dodge. He stepped forward into the network of chains and cracks, right into the seam between worlds. Ichigo shouted, "Are you insane?" Lucifer looked down at him. Calm again. "I'm honest," Lucifer said. "There's a difference." The seam pulsed. The throne shape appeared in the air behind Lucifer, made of chains and glowing marks, trying to settle onto him like a collar. Lucifer's jaw tightened. He did not fight it like a man wrestling a beast. He spoke to it like a man rejecting a contract. "I will not rule you," Lucifer said. "I will not become your prison." The throne shape tightened, trying to force itself into place. The cracks below widened. Chains yanked harder. A building sign tore free and crashed into the street. Ichigo flinched. Rukia shouted orders to move civilians. Shunsui's heart sank, because for a moment, it looked like hell might win by pressure alone. Then Lucifer changed what he was doing. He stopped arguing about crowns. He started talking about doors. Lucifer lifted one finger, and he drew a line in the air, clean and simple. "You can be a door," Lucifer said to the system, voice cold and clear, "not a mouth." The network shuddered. Lucifer continued, each word like a stamp. "A door opens with permission," Lucifer said. "A door closes when it is denied." The warden's chains shook. It tried to lash out. Lucifer did not allow it. He pointed at the largest crack. "Close," he said. The crack fought him, vibrating like a living wound. Lucifer's eyes hardened. He did not crush it. He did not erase it. He set a rule, and rules were what hell understood. The crack narrowed, then another, then another. Across Karakura and Seirite, people looked up as the thin wounds in the air began to pull shut, one by one. Chains snapped back like lines being reeled in. The hell creature fighting Ichigo froze mid-swing, its symbols flickering. Ichigo slammed his blade into it, finishing the strike, and it crumbled into dust. Rukia stared up, breath shaking. "He's closing them all." Urahara's eyes were wide, almost boyish with shock. "He's not sealing hell," he whispered. "He's rewriting the interface." The warden roared, voice breaking. "Crown required," it insisted. Lucifer looked straight at it. "No," Lucifer said again. "Choice required." The throne shape behind him cracked. Not shattered by force. Rejected by meaning. It fell apart into dark dust that blew away in the air. The warden drifted back, shaking, as if it had never been told no, in a way that stuck. Lucifer's voice lowered. "You want stability," Lucifer said. "Then you will take only what is truly yours. You will not leak. You will not hunt the living. You will not grab souls through cracks like a thief." The warden hissed. Lucifer's eyes flashed with a sharp, dangerous joy. "Try to ignore that," Lucifer said, "and I will slam every door you touch." The warden hesitated, not because it feared pain, because it recognized authority it could not write into chains. It drifted backward into the seam. Before it vanished, it spoke one last time, smaller than before. "Boundary, accepted," it said, like a machine forced to update. Then it was gone. The last crack in the sky over Karakura narrowed to a thin line. Lucifer looked at it, as if thinking. Then he tapped the air gently. It closed. Silence fell over the street, broken only by distant sirens and people crying in relief. Ichigo stood still, chest heaving, staring at Lucifer like he was looking at a new kind of storm. Shunsui stepped closer, eyes tired. "You didn't take the crown," Shunsui said. Lucifer's smile returned, faint. "No." Urahara swallowed. "But you did change, Hell." Lucifer glanced at him. "I changed the door," he corrected. "Hell can keep being itself. It just can't spill everywhere because it's upset." Rukia's voice was tight. "So it's over?" Lucifer's eyes lifted to the sky, listening. "No," Lucifer said. "It's quieter. That's different." Ichigo stepped forward, still angry, still relieved. "You could have done that earlier," Ichigo said. Lucifer met his eyes. "You needed to understand what you were asking me to be," Lucifer said softly. "A king, a weapon, a fix that becomes a chain." Ichigo's jaw tightened, then loosened. He hated that Lucifer was right. Shunsui exhaled slowly. "Central 46 will not like this." Lucifer's smile sharpened. "Let them try to like it." Urahara's fan snapped open again, more for comfort than humor. Lucifer looked at him, almost amused. "Tell me what you want, Kisuke," Lucifer said. Urahara stared, then sighed. "I want," Urahara admitted, "for you not to vanish right after saving us." Lucifer's eyes softened a fraction. "I won't vanish," Lucifer said. "Not yet." Shinsui's eyes narrowed. "Not yet?" Lucifer looked toward the edge of town, where the air still felt a little thin. "Hells don't enjoy being corrected," Lucifer said. "And there are other doors in your world. Other lies. Other seats." Rukia swallowed. "And you're going to stay?" Lucifer hesitated for the first time in a long while. Then he answered, honest enough to sound strange. "I'm staying," Lucifer said, "because I'm not bored anymore." Ichigo blinked. Lucifer smiled. "And because," Lucifer added, "someone needs to keep an eye on your doors." Later, when the wounded were carried away and the panic faded into tired relief, Shunsui walked alone through Seirete. The night felt lighter. Not safe, but less heavy. Urahara caught up to him, quiet. "Well," Urahara said, "that happened." Shunsui let out a tired laugh. "That's your best summary?" Urahara's smile was small. "I'm saving the long one for my report." Shinsui's eyes narrowed. "What will you tell Central 46? Urahara's fan waved once. "The truth." Shinsui groaned. "They hate the truth." Urahara nodded. "Yes." They walked in silence for a moment. Then Shunsui asked, voice low, "Do you trust him?" Urahara did not answer quickly. "I trust his nature," Urahara said finally. "He hates cages. He hates being used. He hates systems that pretend cruelty is justice." Shinsui glanced at him. "And is that enough?" Urahara's smile faded. "No," Urahara said. But it's something I can plan around. Shinsui looked up at the sky. No cracks. Just stars. For now. Aizen sat in Mukan and listened to the change. He felt the doors settle. He felt the network calm. He smiled, slow and sharp, alone in the dark. He chose boundaries, Aizen whispered. Aizen's eyes gleamed. Good, he said softly. That means he can be pressured again. Because Aizen did not need hell to spill. He only needed people to want something badly enough to open their own doors. The quiet moment came on a roof in Karakura. Ichigo stood with his hands in his pockets, staring at the river. The city lights reflected on the water in a broken line. Lucifer stood a few steps away, leaning lightly against a wall as if he belonged there. No cracks in the air. No chains. Just night. Ichigo didn't know how to start. He wasn't good at that. So he didn't pretend. Are you really the devil? Ichigo asked. Lucifer looked at him, amused. That's a human story. Ichigo frowned. That's not an answer. Lucifer's smile softened. My name is Lucifer Morningstar, he said. People put a lot of fear into that name. Some of it is earned. Ichigo stared at him. So you are? Lucifer shrugged. I'm me. Ichigo breathed out hard. Okay. Then tell me something. Why didn't you just fix everything? You could. Lucifer looked at the river. I could control everything, Lucifer said. I could. That's the problem. Ichigo's face tightened. So you chose not to? Lucifer nodded. Yes. Ichigo was quiet for a moment. Then he said, almost stubbornly, I still don't like you. Lucifer laughed. Low. Good. Blind trust is stupid. Ichigo glanced at him. Then why help us at all? Lucifer's expression turned thoughtful. Because your world fights to protect people, Lucifer said. Even when the rules are ugly. Even when your leaders make mistakes. You keep trying. Ichigo blinked, surprised. Lucifer looked at him. And because you, Lucifer added, don't stop when you're afraid. Ichigo looked away fast, embarrassed. Whatever. Lucifer's smile returned. They stood in silence again. Then Lucifer spoke like it was small talk. Tell me what you want, Lucifer said. Ichigo groaned. Seriously. Lucifer's eyes gleamed. Seriously. Ichigo stared at the river, jaw tight. I want, Ichigo said slowly, for my friends to stop getting dragged into nightmares. Lucifer nodded, as if he accepted the wish like a promise made out loud. That's a good want, Lucifer said. Ichigo glanced at him. Can you guarantee it? Lucifer's smile turned faint and sharp at the same time. No, he said, but I can make the doors harder to cheat. Ichigo frowned. So, you're just going to hang around? Lucifer looked out at the city. I'll be around, Lucifer said. Sometimes. Ichigo snorted. That's not comforting. Lucifer's eyes flicked to him. It's honest. Down below, in the far distance, a Shinigami patrol moved through the streets, calmer than before. In Soul Society, Urahara started a new file that night. The label on the front was simple, L.M. He added a second label under it, Doors. In hell, deep under rules and chains, the warden sat in silence and processed the update it had been forced to accept. And somewhere even deeper than that, something listened. Systems did not like being challenged. They adapted. They waited. Lucifer looked up at the sky, no cracks visible, and smiled as if he could already hear the next problem walking toward him. Good, he said quietly. Ichigo frowned. What's good? Lucifer didn't look away from the stars. That it isn't boring, Lucifer said. And the night kept going, calm on the surface, different underneath, with doors that now understood one simple rule. They would not open unless someone truly chose to step through.